I picked this up a few days ago, but then I got distracted when for some reason, I came across Mad Magazine and American Carnage. American Carnage both Mad Magazine and American Carnage are examples of Trump derangement syndrome. People who have had to create straw men because they can't find the real monsters. They are insanely racist and sexist, both of them, and I will be doing them next. But I came across this, and your boy said he had looked at this, and then he got distracted by something else to write an article on. I don't know what his last video was on, Anita Sarkeesian or something. It might have been about J.J. Abrams' kid getting a little touch of nepotism. Anyway, back to this. I saw this and I thought, this cover sucks. This is it just looks absolutely lifeless and just blah. Ugh. They don't look powerful. That isn't a power pose to me. It just looks like a woman was told, stand with your one arm raised. But it's not. It's like she doesn't believe it. And then women soldiers in the background, because women are known to be soldiers. They're known to be really ferocious soldiers. Women have a history of fighting, picking up arms and fighting. Oh no, actually, women don't have a history of doing that. That's what young men have done for the past, I don't know, 10 million years. Yeah. So the willing suspension of disbelief with this cover is strained very, very hard. Okay. I jumped into this, and you see this simple color palette, and you think it kind of reminds you back to the days of the 80s before they changed the color process to include the widely expanded color universe of the 90s. But that's okay, because 80s comics were really good. Anyway, you only think this looks like a wall of text. The real wall of text is the next page. Let me read this because it sounds a little wacky. Shuri is the younger sister of T'Challa, Black Panther, King of Wakanda. T'Challa's recently went missing on a mission in deep space, and during his absence, Wakanda has come under attack. Shuri projected her consciousness into space to look for him, but instead she found a giant electricity-stealing, music-loving alien called a space lover. If I was a kid and I picked that up in the comic book store, assuming I could find a comic book store that Marvel hasn't put out of business, I would probably put it down again when I saw that. Electricity-stealing, music-loving alien called a space lover. Instead of electricity, you should probably just say power. Don't get too specific. And then music-loving, that better be absolutely essential to the plot, because at this point on page 2, it just sounds really ridiculous. What's worse, Shuri accidentally dragged a young... Well, it doesn't look like she's accidentally dragging her. It looks like she's dragging her against her will. I don't see how this double-handed grip is accident. A young girl with her, and Mance's mind ended up inside the space lover. Again, that's an unusual turn of phrase, because the mind is not the brain. It's less of a physical object and more of a manifestation of consciousness or something. And to say the mind ended up inside the space lover is just an awkward turn of phrase. I would have said was captured or controlled, or consciousness was controlled, implying hypnotism or mind control or something. Anyway, we have here what looks like a giant praying mantis. 1, 2, 6 legs, I think. I don't know if those are supposed to be wings, but alright, a praying mantis is a pretty horrific creature if you've ever seen one. I think it's missing its arms or something. Anyway, Shuri rescued Mansa, but the lubber followed him back to Wakanda and gained access to the plane of Wakandan memory. Okay, so it sounds like a computer storage thing. Now the lubber is eating away Wakanda's memories and Shuri's powers with them. That's a good element of the plot, when you decrease the power of the protagonist, especially when they're overpowered. That's a good plot twist, a good element of the writing to decrease her powers, because she's just this. I don't know if she's overpowered. I'm not that familiar with the character, but if I remember right, she is supposed to be just a super genius who's just kind of smarmy and full of herself. With her powers diminished, Shuri took up the mantle of Black Panther and pursued the lubber. Okay. But now it seems the creature has help from a hacker named Muti, someone Shuri believed was her friend. Okay, that's a pretty wild plot, but let's get into it. I don't know if a kid would be on board with this. And then this third page, you get this just wall of text, and a lot of the images, if you just flip through this magazine, you'll see a lot of these images of these two women, Storm and Shuri with her bat wings, sorry DC, doing not very spectacular things, just flying around, just being your average, ordinary women. Okay, that's a lot of text. I couldn't even try to say that on one breath. That's just a wall of text. So you think this Muti guy helped the space lubber escape and then hijacked your equipment? That's what I'm afraid of, Storm. Nice overflow of the text boxes. He sent me a message right after lubber disappeared, and then everything shut down. Wherever that creature went, I think that's where we'll find Muti too. I've known him for over a year, ever since he hacked into gaps in my security system. I should have gone after him then, but he didn't seem to accidentally want to destroy anything. We started chatting in text and just became friends, and then he sent me a picture of his penis. You have a weird way of making friends, Shuri. I mean, I did hack him right back because I'm a super genius after all, and put all his info in my kimono beads. And where did you put those beads? I don't want to know. Just in case he turns out to be a bad guy move. I always knew he might be dangerous, but I never dreamed he'd help an alien take over my country, especially an MP3-11 alien. Okay. So they fly around, really not doing anything spectacular. Some space jellyfish in the background, more text walls. Fly around. And what is wrong with this factory? Something is wrong with it, and I haven't really put my finger on it. Why does it not? I don't know. It doesn't feel believable. It doesn't feel realistic. There's something wrong with it, but I'm not a mining engineer. And then you have more of these women just talking to each other, and then more women in the mines, I guess. Maybe these are the mining engineers. And then you have the women talking to each other, and down here they continue to talk to each other. Maybe they'll hug. That would be great. Maybe they'll have coffee, like if it was written by Gail Simone, they would be eating something. Ironically, I'm sure. And so they're flying around on their little tour of the mine, just talking to each other. Okay, music in the background. It gave a character breasts, sort of. That's kind of I guess that's a plus. Storm's got boobs. Okay, they find the guy. He's not my mutie. I mean, that he is mutie, but he looks possessed. This looks like what the space lubber did to Mansa. It's in his mind. We have to make it come out. Okay, just a standard, action adventure with way too much women talking about whatever. But then in the next couple scenes, then this is the passive-aggressive bigotry and racism. Stan's soapbox from 1968, he wrote a lot of articles. You don't need to keep picking this one article about bigotry and racism. I see it in every friggin' thing. Anyway, they have a very, very predictable battle with the praying mantis. But then there's a scene where she picks him up and carries him away. Okay, even how they portray this guy here is kind of weird. Brains are just organic computers, and I have a special affinity for tech. My name is a double entendre. Mutie is a South African traditional medicine, but you say it differently. It sounds like mutant. Okay, whatever. And they have their space jellyfish battle. And then where are they? Who's gonna? Oh yeah, she has to pick him up and save him. Now, this is a weird violation of expectations. It's a violation of the classic story of the knight has to fight the dragon, and then the knight rescues the princess, and then they live happily ever after. When you have the female character rescue the helpless male, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I know this is not politically correct, it just doesn't work. Most boys who are reading this are going to feel there's something subtly wrong with it. And I bet you most girls who are reading this, if they're being honest, they're both going to tell you there's something wrong with this. I'll get us out of this whirlwind. So this big, strong, 6'2" guy is being carried by this. It just doesn't. It's just not. What? It doesn't work, and here's the proof it doesn't work, because it sold 14,000 copies. So, and how do you fix that? Are you saying you can never have female heroes? No. But you have them, and you have them selling 14,000 copies. So if that's what you want, okay, they go to this higher level. They're basically inside the computer program, and it's like the computers or the Wakandan memory. It's like I don't know if it's a hologram or an artificial reality or something. It's a clever plot point. I don't know why the memory looks like a field instead of just looking like servers or computer banks or platters, or I guess if it's a holograph for a multi-dimensional space, it can look like anything they want it to look like. That's fine. Another thing I wondered about, I'm not that familiar with the Black Panther story, but Storm's not, and Shuri and this guy, these are African Americans. They're not Africans. They look totally different, and by Africans, African Americans, they are mixed with African and European, and so they talk about something where they're talking about the planes of their ancestors. Well, 25% of your ancestors, maybe 40% of your ancestors are European ancestors, because you were very, very, very mixed. So it's kind of a weird thing that they ignore. And that was a weird thing about the movie Black Panther, was that if you go to Africa and Africa is divided into areas of tribes, right? And the tribes, people all share certain morphology, physical morphology, skin tones, height, weight, muscle fat, muscle and body fat distributions and percentages. It's just a way of saying that people in a certain geographic area look the same. If you look at an Irish town, they'll look very, very similar, or they'll share certain similarities. And as do, if you go to, I don't know, the Maasai, what are the Maasai? They're tall, very low body fat, muscular, and as they consider themselves to be very, very handsome. But every group considers themselves handsome. The thing about the Black Panther movie is that there were people from different tribes in Wakanda, and that's not how African tribes operate. That's not how any group of isolated people operate. So it was a kind of a weird thing that people just totally overlooked, because they didn't want to hire African actors. They wanted to hire African American actors, which is kind of a weird. I thought about that after. I thought, well, if they hired African actors, most Americans don't know who these African actors are. They have to hire African American actors, but the thing is, they all look different. They're all different heights, all different cheekbones, and they look different. It's kind of that's not realistic. But I guess most people didn't have a problem with it. Anyway, the monster follows them, and then you get her standing up, not while I am the Black Panther. You could have drawn her butt right there, but no, you decide not to, and she's standing up against the monster while this dude is looking like this. This doesn't work. No. I don't. What are you trying to say about this guy? He's got the nose ring. He's got the earring. No, this is a negative portrayal of one of your characters. This guy is one of the main characters. This chick, these are, I don't know, holographic ancestors, residual memories or something. And then Storm is floating around. And Storm and this chick are both good looking. They need to draw this guy looking like this? No. As Zach would say, oh baby, what is you doing? This is not good. Anyway, the whole gender swap of gender roles and gender swapping things. No. Look at this. No. You can try to force this kind of concept on people, but you can't make people believe it. Everyone knows that their fathers are big and strong and their moms are moms. The fathers throughout history have gone off to war and brought home the deer or whatever, and the women have done other things. The women might have skinned and cleaned the deer, or the women might have hunted or gone off to war when it was absolutely necessary. But it wasn't the primary gender roles. Oh, well, we're going to deconstruct gender roles. So we came down from the trees like 10 million years ago, and we've had certain gender roles, and I don't know, when was Lucy? 2 million years ago? And then we started setting up civilizations 10 to 20 to 50,000 years ago, and men and women have had certain roles, and now we're going to have the woman carry this big muscular guy away like a baby. No, this doesn't work. Little girls don't look at this and think, oh yeah, I want to meet a guy and he'll be a stay-at-home dad, and I'll go out and bring home the bacon. No, this doesn't work. This is just silly. Anyway, I thought this was interesting. But the real Carnage cringe, American Carnage and Mad Magazine is going to come up next, and they are out of this world. Just insane levels of cringe. So subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and leave a like and a comment.